Hi loves, welcome to another sewing tutorial on olives, and in this video I'll take you along while I make a full straight dress with illusion, so please keep on watching. I've already drafted a pattern, so I'm just going to use this small pattern paper to demonstrate how I made it. Okay, so I have here the starting line. So from the starting line I'll mark shoulder to chest, shoulder to waist, shoulder to hip, shoulder to knee, and then the full length plus 1 inch allowance. Now for the shoulder to knee, use your normal shoulder to knee and then go up by 2 inches. Okay, so I'll put all those points to straight line. The lower part of the dress is like an A line, so you divide your hip by 4, you add your desired sewing allowance, and then you add extra fullness to that measurement, so about 4, 5 or even more, and you also include your zipper allowance. That will be the amount of pattern paper you would need. Okay, now from this side I'll mark 1.5 zipper allowance. I'm trying to save pattern paper, so I'm going to draft both the front and the back on the pattern paper. Okay, now from the shoulder line, which is also the starting line, I'll mark half of my shoulder measurement. It's sleeveless, so I'm going to keep that like that without adding any allowance. Okay, so I'll mark half of the shoulder measurement here, mark it on the chest line, and I'll mark shoulder slope of 1 inch. This is just a small measurement, so the measurements are limited. Okay, so ½ inch shoulder slope. You mark your desired back depth as well as front depth. We are drafting everything together, so I'll connect all of them. I'll extend the back neckline to the zipper allowance. I'll add ½ inch shoulder allowance. I'll take half of the measurement here, go in by ½ inch and 0.75, ½ inch for the back, 0.75 for the front. On the chest line, I'll take quarter of the bars and add 1 inch sewing allowance. And I'll connect each of these points to the chest line. On the waist, quarter of the waist plus 1 inch allowance, same as the hip, quarter of the hip plus 1 inch allowance. On the knee line, whatever measurement you have on the hip, you deduct 2 inches or 1.5 from it, and then you take that measurement to the knee line. I'll connect from the knee to the hem, measure from here to the hem as well, and you place that same measurement you have right here and mark. So you connect from almost the midpoint of the hem to the mark. From the back, we'll reduce zip bulge, so on the waist I'll take 0.75. Then I'll remark the 1.5 zip allowance. Connect each of these points to the chest line, and also connect from there to the hip line. So since we've taken off 0.75, that means the back waist will be shortened. Okay, so we need to replace that. So you either measure from here, the measurement you have here, you measure it and replace it here, or from the new zipper line you mark the waist measurement we had first. Okay, so connect this point again to the chest line and to the hip line. This is the main pattern. I'll go up by ½ inch and I'll connect that ½ inch to the armhole like this, and this will serve as the illusion for the front. I'll go ahead and cut out the back. So this is the back pattern. For the front, we'll take out this part and also take out the zipper allowance. Also take out the armhole and the neckline. Now for the back illusion, we are going to trace out just the chest line of the back pattern. I'll place another paper beneath the pattern and trace out. Now if you want to include zipper allowance, you make sure you open up the pattern and include the zipper allowance on the back illusion. So you just trace it out and mark how you want the illusion to be. Okay, so this is my back illusion that I've made. This was how I traced it out first, and then I made out the illusion from it. Okay, I also tried to create keyhole for the back. I'll then cut out the fabric with the back pattern. This is what we have for the back. So for the front, I'll cut out these parts. I also cut out this. Don't go in because the center front is here. Okay, so you just cut away from the center front. I'll cut out the front armhole and then the neckline. I'll cut off the illusion. I want to double the illusion, so I'll fold the net into 4. And I'll place each of the patterns on it. The front illusion is on fold. I'll add 1 inch allowance. Now for the back, I ended up changing my mind that there will be no zip on the illusion. So I've cut out the zip allowance. So this is the back. I will stitch along the keyhole to knitting it. And for the front, I will stitch all around just to keep the 2 pieces together, because we are going to use bias to knitting the neckline and the armhole. Okay, I'll place the back illusion pattern on the back like this, and then I'll cut out. You can as well just draw out how you want the illusion to be on the main material and cut out instead of doing pattern. Okay, at this point, this is how the illusions look like. This is the front. I just stitched it down to keep it together, you know, and the back, just the keyhole, just about 1/4 inch, and you trim off any excess that you have so it doesn't show too much. Okay, there is no lining for this, so we are going to use bias, and before that to stitch the illusion to the main dress. I'll just notch here a little bit, just 1/4 inch, and I'll pin the illusion to it this way first. Then I'll pin one side, and then after pinning one side, I pin the other one as well. So we are going to stitch from one end like this. When you get to the midpoint, you pivot and turn to the other side. Okay, so that's how we are going to stitch, and afterwards we'll add the bias to it. Now for the back, you do the same thing. Remember there is zipper allowance, so the illusion will not extend to the zip allowance unless otherwise. Okay, I've gone ahead to stitch and add bias to the front. So what I did was I stitched the bias. I trim off the excess after stitching the illusion to the main one, and then I trim off excess, attach the bias. Make sure you notch before you stitch, okay, because it's a curved area, so you need to notch, and also under stitch before you finally stitch on the edge of the bias, okay, if that makes sense. So this is one of the back. I stitch with 1/2 inch, so I'll trim off the excess because the edge of the bias is not up to 1/2 inch, okay. So I'll trim off the excess and I'll place the bias on it like this. So we are going to stitch 10 under stitch before we finally turn and stitch again. So this is how the back piece looks like right now. Next, we'll join the shoulders, so I'll place the back onto the front. Now remember, we didn't stitch the back. If you can remember, we didn't stitch the back, we just stitched the illusion. So I'm going to place one of the back, just one of the back together with the front, and then I'll turn the other shoulder of the back like this. We are trying to sandwich, that means we just want the front to be in between the two back shoulders, okay. So we're going to stitch with 1/2 inch, and then you trim off excess. You don't want the allowance to show, so trim off the excess and then you turn it like this. So this is what you have. Now we can add bias around the neckline and also the armholes. Whatever process we use with the bias whilst knitting the illusion is what we use for the armhole and the neckline, okay. So this is how it looks now. The neckline and the armhole are curved areas. Even though it's net, try to notch it a bit before you understitch and then you stitch again, okay. Now for the center back, before I started, I hemmed in the edge of the bias just to knitting it before I started stitching, okay. For the keyhole area, I'll either use press thread or button and loop. I'll finally join the sides and hem the lower parts. I hope this video is a help to you. If you learned something, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell button to be notified. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.